Hey guys, welcome to the Search course as we are going to help you to get set free from porn. Because friends, it's time that we stop searching and we start living.
How did I get into the porn industry? Why did I say yes?
Porn was destroying my life. I was battling with drug addiction and suicidal thoughts on a daily basis.
You are going to start to break the shame off of your life.
We are here to help people stop searching and to start living and walking in purity and freedom.
So I pray as you dive into these lessons that God is going to minister and speak to you in a mighty way.
I know that if you will apply these teachings to your life, you will get set free from porn so that you can stop searching and you can start living.
Hey everyone, it's Ashley. Thank you again so much for watching and listening and being a part of the Search course where you will be set free from porn. It is an honor and a privilege to sit next to this guy, this man of God, Joshua Broome. You're a pastor, you're also a host for your podcast called Counterfeit Culture, but he's got an amazing testimony, guys. He was in the porn industry, he's come out of it, the Lord has set him free, and I know his testimony and what he's about to share is going to set you guys free too. So Josh, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's get right to it. So
Right.
how long were you in the porn industry?
A little over 6 years.
Okay, 6 years. So take us back to the moment that, like, where were you at in life when you decided to do that first movie?
Yeah, I think I have a pretty unique story in that way because a lot of people, how they ended up saying yes to that was because of some type of trauma or, a financial need. But for me, like logistically, I placed myself in Hollywood because I wanted to be an actor and a model. I started modeling when I was around 14, 15 years old, and I was having a decent amount of success, and I dropped out of college. I was studying theater, but I was like, if I put myself...
You were studying theater?
Yeah,
nice!
yeah.
That's awesome.
But I thought if I put myself in closer proximity to where these jobs I was trying to obtain, as a guy that wants to do this, it's like if I'm there, I'm gonna be more successful. I'm gonna get the jobs that I want to pursue. So I moved there, and things are going pretty good. To be honest, like I had an agent for acting, I had an agent for modeling, and things were going okay. Like I wasn't killing it, but I wasn't struggling by any means. And most people who live in Hollywood, it's like, if you work at a restaurant or whatever, it's like, I'm an actor, but this is what I do to pay the bills.
For sure.
So that's what I was doing. I was working at a restaurant in West Hollywood. It's called Saddle Ranch, and there's like a big mechanical bull in the middle of it. And I operated the bull sometimes, and I waited tables and stuff. But there, like, that's how I got to Hollywood. But how I ended up saying yes to the porn industry was one day a group of girls came in and were like, hey, have you ever considered acting? I was like, well, yes, I have. They were like, we're talking about porn. I was like, wow.
Whoa. That took a quick turn.
I know, because for me though, like it was like my kid. So we went to Disney World recently, and he normally watches like Mickey Mouse like cartoons. But then when he saw Mickey in real life, it was too much. It was like I didn't think this thing was real, and that was my relationship with porn. It's like I had seen it, but these are real people. Those aren't like fictitious people on a screen. It's real, and you're asking me if I want to do it. I was like, I guess. I mean, I don't know. And I said yes to meeting this agent, and that agent set up my first scene, and that's how I got in the industry.
Wow. Well, where were you like emotionally and spiritually that led you to say yes?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think that's something that we address like in the course. It's like, how did I get to the point of saying yes? I think it's like, it's easy at a surface level. It's like, how did I get to Hollywood? You know, I was pursuing this. But like really an underlying like why? What led me to say yes? And I think it was a desire to be accepted, a desire to get affirmation that I believed would allow me to feel like I was good enough. Because I grew up without a dad. And it was an interesting, you know, situation because I was living in a small town and my dad never rejected me, but I saw him.
But you didn't have a relationship with
So
him.
my mom had me when she was 16 and like provided me with this incredible life. But I never had a dad or like a real like father figure in my life. But I saw this man in this town who was my father, but he was never my dad. So that just left me feeling like, what's wrong with me? How can I ever like live up to this like standard of what a guy should be? Am I like what? How do I know what being a man looks like? What does that mean? And from a spiritual aspect, I knew a lot about God. I went to a church where they talked about God, but I think I had ultimately like a boundary that I had set because of myself, because like I didn't see myself as someone like yeah, you know, I hear all the like Jesus died for you stuff, but not for me. Like how could I deserve that? So I knew a lot about God, but I didn't see myself as someone who could have a relationship with God.
You didn't have a personal walking, talking relationship with the Lord.
Yeah, it was just facts I knew about a thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what was the turning point? There was a really powerful moment in your life. Talk about that moment and what led you to realize, hey, I have to get out. Like, this is not for me. There's something more. Talk about that moment.
Yeah, I think it was like a culmination of a depression that grew deeper and darker and bigger. And what a lot of people out there, you know, seeing me in my career, because I had been nominated for Best Male Performer 3 times.
Wow.
And then I win the award that I believed 6 years prior that if I win this, it's going to unlock these doors. If I achieve the fame, the money, the success, if I obtain those things, then I'm going to fill this void that I have in my life. And that was, you know, what I thought was going to be my mountaintop moment, but it's actually the deepest, darkest valley I've ever been in, because they call my name to come get the award, and I'm not there.
Whoa.
I'm at home on my face wanting to die.
Whoa.
I'm asking the God that I didn't really know if my life could end, because I believed that my life was over and it wasn't going anywhere. So in that moment, that same time period, I walk into a bank and I go to deposit this check that I'm humiliated about, because on the memo it says what it's for. So I'd always try to go the ATM route or the drop boxes, anything I could to avoid the shame of being in that industry. So this day that wasn't a possibility. So I had to have that interaction with the teller, and pretty normal. I give them the check. Do you have your account number? No. Swipe your card. She puts it in. And then she hands me a receipt, and I pivot to turn away. And then she says, Joshua, is there anything I can do for you? Joshua, can I help you? And I was like, it was weird. And what was so powerful for me is, why some people might think like, man, this guy has all this money, he's like having all these relationships with these women, he's on TV, this and that. But I was so broken that I had stopped returning text messages and phone calls from my mom, my friends, my brother. Not one person in my life for over a year was calling me by my name. So when I heard Joshua, it was something that I hadn't heard in over a year, and it absolutely shattered the reality that I had created because of my shame and my pain. I just like snapped out of it, and I didn't know what to do but to run. So I pick up the phone and like I quit. You know, I called my PR person, put out a press release, and then within a week I'm gone.
Oh my gosh.
And I haven't been back to California since
today. Wow. What a redeeming moment. Well, what happened? Okay, so you quit the industry. You said, I'm out. What happened after that? What was like the moment where you fully surrendered to Christ?
Yeah, so I went about 2 years just like lying, hiding, trying to cover up, run from, my past. But the reality is, unlike some people's sin, my sin was very tangible and real and easily found.
Yeah, yeah.
And I believed that if I wasn't doing that thing, I would feel better. Like I was working as a personal trainer and I was, had healthy relationships with people, but I still found myself at night struggling, having night terrors, just like feeling this like overwhelming like stress and pain. And I met this person and I was like, hey, do you want to go on a date? And she said no. And she's like, well, we can go for a run. I'm like, I hate running, but I'll go, And I decided to go. And then there's just this like guilt in me. It's like, this person is incredible. And so many people throughout the 2 years after I left the industry, I had either lied to or not told the truth, and that had hurt them in some way.
Yeah.
And I just felt in that moment that I don't want to hurt this person. So I'm like, I'm just going to tell her, and that way, she'll probably just, tell me to take a hike or just be nice and like just not talk to me anymore. But I just felt the need to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was, after that walk, I was like, hey, I want to share something with you. I did a little bit of porn. They're like, excuse me? And I was like, okay. And it was like I was like ripping off this Band-Aid. I was like, I did all this stuff. I kicked my brother in the leg when I was 12 years old. I told her everything.
Just everything. A confession, yeah.
And I mean, just like, but it was like so healthy for me, but probably pretty traumatizing for her. But she hears all this stuff, and she's, processing it, and then I'm thinking, like, what are you going to say? But she's just like looking at me, and I was like, I understand, it was a lot to take in. Are you okay? And she says, I hear what you said, but the person I see standing in front of me, that's not who you are.
Wow.
Like, what you do doesn't define you. Like, you're not a sum of mistakes and failures that you've experienced. And you're not even the greatest thing you'll ever do. That's not who you are. She's like, do you know who God is? And I was like, I know who God is.
Yeah.
Like, you believe in God? I'm like, yeah. You're like, he created everything. Created me and you. Yeah. She's like, you have a relationship with him?
Wow.
And I was like, I was like,
stop the car.
I know. I was like, I don't know. But I love that, like, what she did next. She didn't condemn me.
Yeah.
She loved me in that moment. And she just asked me questions about my mom, my family, who I was. And she's just like, hey, the person I see in front of me, like, that's not the person you just described to me.
Yeah.
Like, you care about your family. You're a good communicator. You're a good leader. You all these things, just like speaking life over to me.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, I saw myself not as someone who did this thing, Joshua. This person who has gifts and talents. Like, I was like, wow. And then, later that day, we talked about, like, would you be interested in going to church? I was like, yeah, I need to know more. Because the way that she interacted with me, it cultivated a curiosity in me.
You saw God in her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she, like, her interaction with me literally ushered me into the presence of wanting to know more about God.
Yes.
I mean, like Colossians 4, it's like talking about your speech be seasoned with salt. So you might know how you ought to answer each person. Each interaction is so important.
Yeah.
So her interaction with me and the way that she responded prompted me to want to know more.
That's a word for somebody out there. That's good.
It's so true. Like, your interactions matter so much.
Absolutely.
But, so we go to church, and I hear the story of Mephibosheth, and how, like, after one, kingdom ends, it was, in that culture, they wiped out everyone in that kingdom prior to the new king stepping in.
Yeah.
Like, that entire family was destroyed because, like, you can't have any of this.
Yes, yeah.
So Mephibosheth was the one broken person left of that kingdom. And this guard comes to him, and Mephibosheth is already, like, injured from being dropped. Like, really interesting story. But ultimately, he's broken, and he's believing that if he is found, he sees himself as someone who deserves death.
Wow.
And what does he get? He gets grace instead.
Ooh.
And that's what Jesus does for you and for me. He
Amen.
stoops down and sees us in the middle of our mess and meets us right there. And extends us a hand and a seat at the table, not for a day, not for a week, but forever.
Come on. Yes.
Forever.
Yes.
And I was like, wow. I was like, that's how he sees me?
Yeah.
Like, God loves me so much that he sent his one and only son to die for me, for you. Like, he loves me that much.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do anything but surrender my life.
Yeah.
So I was just on my face. There were tears. There was snot. It wasn't pretty. But it was amazing.
Yes.
So, like, that is the moment that changed
I
my
love
life.
that. And let's just say, who is this woman now to you?
She is my wife.
She's his wife! and her name is Hope.
And her name is Hope.
And you guys have 3 boys.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
We have 3 little boys. And, yeah, like, God has not only restored, redeemed, but he's empowered us collectively to preach this message, to share this story.
Yes.
And, you know, it's a really powerful thing talking about, like, I haven't been back to California. Like, you know, what the devil meant to harm me, God is raising me up to destroy what nearly destroyed me.
Exactly, in that scripture in is it? No. It's yes, it's Joshua. Is it? No,
Numbers.
I can't remember. I don't know, but he says it's to save many lives.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what you're doing with your life. Wow, it's amazing. All right. Thank you for sharing your testimony. And I know that that's just like already like breaking chains right now. But let's talk about like the issues with pornography.
Yeah.
A lot of people watch porn to cope with different things.
Right.
To cope with emotional trauma.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think so many people go to porn versus like a counselor or a therapist?
Yeah. I think... So for me, I have a podcast, and it's called Counterfeit Culture.
Yes, yeah.
And it's born out of this research from a biologist. And he took a male and a female butterfly, and he took the female butterfly and he augmented the female butterfly to be bigger, better, more vibrant. And he found when he put that butterfly in nature, the male butterflies gravitated towards the augmented, fictitious version of this butterfly.
Wow.
And when you have a desire for something that doesn't exist, you have an insatiable appetite for this thing because you'll never obtain it. And you believe the lie because I want to achieve this thing, I need to keep chasing after it. And it continues to augment your reality.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, if I believe sex is something for me to take, then I'm going to have an incorrect assumption of what it is.
Yep.
And I'm going to pursue it in a way that was never meant to be pursued.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's like, yes, like it is a form of covering, you know, a desire for relationship or a desire for this or pain or anxiety or hurt. And it's absolutely something to medicate pain with.
Yeah.
But it's just a mask. You know, we wear masks for so many reasons, but it's really at the root of it, who do we see ourselves to be? And why do we see ourselves here? And what are we to do?
Yeah, definitely. Why do you think porn blurs the lines of reality? Because a lot of people, like what you said earlier, you didn't realize that these are real people in these films. It's not just some, you know, fantasy. Because oftentimes it tries to represent a fantasy.
Yeah.
Talk about how porn completely ruins, like, reality and how it blurs those lines.
Yeah, I mean, God loves us enough to give us boundaries. Like, I tell my kid not to touch the stove because it's hot.
Yeah.
I love him. I don't want him to get burned. God gives us boundaries in regards to relationship and sex because he knows that if we step outside of those boundaries, what happens? We get hurt. He doesn't want us to get hurt. So when we see people as products and we see sex as something to be consumed, we are functioning in this augmented reality that doesn't exist. We're chasing after something that we'll never obtain.
Yeah.
So it's about how do you see yourself? How do you see people? And I think like the problem with that is if you see people as being products, you're going to treat them as such. And it's going to start to impact the way that, you know, do you have integrity? Are you reliable? does our friendship have any value? Well, only if you can do something for me, because I have a consumeristic approach towards people. And I don't realize that porn is teaching me that.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful. Well, last question before we go. Again, I just feel like you have broken chains already for those who are watching and listening. But why do you think this course is going to be so powerful and useful for people who are trying to be set free from porn?
Yeah, I think it's going to be so powerful and impactful because I think everybody wants a quick fix, and we live in an instantaneous gratification world.
Yeah.
So we want to just download the app, do the course, do this, do that. And what we're not doing is looking at what is real, what is truth. So we're going through the process, because sanctification is a process.
Yes, it is.
So salvation is instantaneous, but sanctification is a process.
Yeah.
So we're leading people to know truth and to pursue purity, and we're giving them just like practical and spiritual tools to use not one time, but for the rest of their life.
Yeah, amen to that. Well, Joshua, thank you so much for just sharing your testimony, being open and honest and transparent, because, people are going to be set free. So thank you so much, Josh.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, welcome to the Search course, as we are going to help you to get set free from porn. Because friends, it's time that we stop searching and we start living.
How did I get into the porn industry? Why did I say yes?
Porn was destroying my life. I was battling with drug addiction and suicidal thoughts on a daily basis.
You are going to start to break the shame off of your life.
We are here to help people stop searching and to start living and walking in purity and freedom.
So I pray as you dive into these lessons that God is going to minister and speak to you in a mighty way.
I know that if you will apply these teachings to your life, you will get set free from porn so that you can stop searching and you can start living.